Hello, happy Wednesday. This is Wednesday Coffee with me, Pastor Justin. It's Wednesday, February the 4th, 2026. Hope you're doing well. And as always, my hope with this time is that you'll feel like you've just walked into my office and you're sitting in the rocking chair across from me here, just sharing coffee and conversation. I appreciate you clicking in today. Speaking of the rocking chair, I want to share a little story with you. So you may recall if you've been watching these, I think the very first week that I did this, I talked about this rocking chair here in my office and the fact that I saved it just before it was going to go into a roll-off dumpster out back on a church cleanup day. I'm still so glad that I did, because many of you have come and sat in this chair, and I enjoy those times with you so much. So this week, one of our most faithful members here, she is wonderful, Denise Griffith, was walking down the hall, and she came in, she sat in the chair, and she said, I have got a story for you. I've got a similar rocking chair story. She said that before she retired, she was a banker, okay? And she worked at a bank in Rio Vista, Texas, which I think most of the locals call Rio Vista. It's out between Cleburne and Whitney. And she said, the bank, of course, had an official name, but nobody called it that. They called it the Cow Pasture Bank. She said it was a great place to work. One of her favorite things about it was the fact that there was a woman who liked to bake cookies downstairs in the basement. So as she crunched numbers all day, she would get to smell, this wonderful smell of fresh baked cookies wafting up through the basement floor. And she said it was a great place to work, good career out there. But at some point, I think late in her career, the bank was sold to a larger bank. And so the new corporation, the new bank came out, and they decided they were going to, redecorate and everything to kind of make it fit their style and their brand. So they brought in a roll-off dumpster, not unlike the one we had here. And they hired folks to take everything out. We're going to throw it in the dumpster, and then we're going to kind of start over. And Denise was walking in the parking lot, and she saw this man carrying this beautiful old black rocking chair, and he was just about to throw it in the dumpster. And really, Denise kind of, she went next level here compared to my story, because I saved the rocking chair before it went in. She said to this man, she said, "No, you can't throw that rocking chair in the dumpster. I'll take it. Let me take the rocking chair." And he said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. You're welcome to take the rocking chair, but I have to throw it in the dumpster." And so he did. And Denise lovingly climbed into the dumpster and hauled that rocking chair back out as this man stood there watching sheepishly. That is next level rocking chair commitment, church. And Denise gets kudos for that. I loved that story. She told me a couple other things that were interesting too. So if you watched this, I think a week or two ago, I did the FCC Name Awards, and I gave most lyrical name. I think there was a tie, but for one of the most lyrical names, I awarded that to Denise's husband, Spruce Griffith. I thought that was he's just got a great name. And she said, let me tell you a couple things about that. She said, there is a camp, and many of us from this area probably are familiar with this camp. There's a camp called Camp Grady Spruce on the shores of Possum Kingdom Lake. It's a YMCA camp. And Grady Spruce was Spruce Griffith's grandfather, okay? He started the camp. It was named after him. And then he had two daughters. So, of course, the name Spruce was not going to continue. One of his daughters, Margaret, had a son, and in honor of her daddy, Grady Spruce, Margaret named her son Spruce Griffith, our very own Spruce Griffith. I thought that was awesome, but there's more, because Margaret's mother was named Ivy Houston. Her maiden name was Houston, and Ivy's great uncle was named Sam. How about that? Small world that we live in. I loved hearing those stories. I love stories. I love hearing your stories. One of my favorite things to do in ministry is to have the chance to sit with you and hear your story. You got a great story to tell me. Come on in or call ahead, set up a time. I love hearing these kinds of stories. And friends, that reminded me as I was thinking about that this week of something that I think is important. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got something. Everybody has their hurts. Everybody has amazing things that have happened to them that have shaped who they are. We all have fears and hopes and challenges. I think we do this thing that that grieves me, right? We have this tendency, especially in the modern world today, to put people in boxes, to categorize one another along political party lines or the lines of race or denominational identity or gender or age or whatever it is. And then we tend to look at people as that box, right? That box, we want to let those boxes define who people are in our eyes. And I think that we lose something very important when we do that because we forget about the story, right? We forget that every person, has that unique story, that everybody's just doing the best they can to get along in this world and find their way and live as purposefully and meaningfully as they can. And as Christians, I think we are called to see people first as Jesus saw people. Jesus looked into the eyes of a person and saw a person, a unique person created in the imago Dei, in the image of God, right? And he saw and he felt that person's hurt and hope. Jesus loved that person. And I think we're called to do that too. And that is not to say that that policy is not important. It's not to say that action is not important. It very much is. I think our call, though, is to start by elevating people over policy, remembering how to look upon one another as human beings created in the image of God, remembering that each person has that unique story, doing the best that we can to listen, to hear that story, to share ours, and to start from there. Action, policy should flow out of that and not the other way around. Thank you for listening. God bless you. I hope to hear more of your story in the days ahead, and I hope you have a good rest of your week.